What's up, YouTube? Your boy Lil Solar Prime, and today we're going to be covering some combo lines that you absolutely should know if you guys are going to play the Infer-Magistus deck that I posted a few days ago. If you guys have not got a chance to watch that deck profile, please visit my channel and give that video a watch either before or after you watch this video here. Now, with that being said, we have a lot to go over and I don't want to keep you guys too long. So I do want to say before we start, thank you for all the support from the Infer-Noble community and everybody as a whole. Let's go ahead and get into it. So the one card combo we're going to start out with is going to be with Rilliona. We're going to normal summon our copy of Rilliona, having as a copy of Ver-Magic from our deck. Once we have Ver-Magic in our hand, we're going to activate Ver-Magic, send in a Spellcaster to the grave, and the Spellcaster we're going to send to the grave is going to be a copy of Jenny. Now we're going to take our Rilliona, we're going to link summon this card away for our first copy of Artemis here. Now that we have Artemis on the field, we're going to activate the effect of Jenny, banishing her along with Ver-Magic to copy the effect of Ver-Magic to spell summon a Magistus monster from our deck. And the monster we're going to spell summon is going to be Zoroa. Now that we have Zoroa on the field, we're going to activate his effect to equip himself with Artemis from the extra deck. But we're not going to use this effect to special summon a copy of a Magistus monster from our grave just yet. We're going to hold off on that effect for just a little bit longer. Now that Zoroa is equipped, we're going to activate the effect of Artemis. While she's equipped, I can activate her effect to add a Magistus monster from our deck to our hand. And the monster we're going to add is going to be Spencer. Once we have Spencer in our hand, we're going to discard Spencer to add another Magistus monster from our deck to our hand, which is going to be Crowley. Once Crowley is added to our hand, he has an effect. He can spell summon himself to the field. And once he spell summon, he can conduct a fusion summon with himself and another monster on field. So we're going to take Crowley and our first Artemis for a fusion summon of Zoroa. This is going to be the upgraded version of our little Zoroa here for the fusion copy. Once we have the fusion copy of Zoroa on field, his effect is going to activate, equip himself with a Magistus monster from our grave, and we're going to put Crowley right back underneath him. So now that we have this field established here, we need to find a way to equip Zoroa with an equipped card. With an equipped monster, a Magistus monster. So we're going to look through our graveyard, and the only person we can use right now is going to be our copy of Rilliona. We could use Spencer, but trust me, you want to use Rilliona. So we're going to activate the Rilliona effect, banish yourself from the graveyard to equip Zoroa with our copy of Artemis from the graveyard. Now that we have these two equipped, we now can activate the effect of Zoroa to spell summon a Magistus monster from our graveyard, and we're going to spell summon our Spencer. Now that we have these two equipped, we're going to fuse some of these guys away for Chozo. Chozo is going to be our level 4 tuner we're going to use to bridge us into our Infer-Noble plays. But first, we need to find a level 1 non-tuner. And the only way we can do that is we going to XYZ summon our Spencer and Zoroa for a copy of Dempsey. Now that Dempsey's on the field, his effect activates, searching us a level 4 lore Fire Warrior. But once we do that, we can also change the effect of Dempsey, detaching the material to the graveyard to keep himself from being targeted, which is a mute effect. We really don't care about it. The only thing we cared about was detaching Spencer from Dempsey, because we're going to use Spencer later on in our combo, but we need it in the graveyard. So now we can resolve the effect of Dempsey, searching us a level 4 Fire Warrior. And then we're going to search for a copy of Boost Warrior. Now that we have Boost Warrior in our hand, his effect says if we control a face-up tuner on board, we can spell summon this card from our hand. So we have a face-up tuner, and we're going to spell summon out our Boost Warrior, and we're going to synchro summon using Boost Warrior and Chozo here for a copy of Angelica. Once Angelica hits the board, she's going to add us a copy of Museum to our hand, and we're going to activate Museum, pay our 1200 to add us an equipped card to our hand. Now that we have our equipped card, we need to find a way to trigger our Angelica, and the only person in our graveyard that's able to do so is going to be our copy of Spencer. What Spencer says is he can target banish this, you can target a monster on field, and you can equip it with a Magistus monster from your extra deck or your graveyard, but we're not even going to take that effect that far. We're going to activate the effect of Spencer, targeting Angelica, and then we're going to change the effect of Angelica, banishing herself. She'll be back at the end phase to drop a fire warrior to the grave, which is going to be Turpin, and to also special summon our copy of Captain Roland. Now that we have Captain Roland on field and we have Turpin in the graveyard, we can use the effect of Turpin, equipping himself to our Captain Roland. And then we're going to fusion summon using Turpin and Crowley for our copy of Snake Eyes Doom Dragon. Now that we have Snake Eyes Doom Dragon on the field, we now can use our equip card that we got from Museum, equipping it to any one of our monsters, uses the effect to swap it out for a copy of the Rendell. Then we're going to activate the effect of the Rendell, searching us a copy of Renaud, sending this to the grave. Now that we have Renaud in our hand, we can spell summon Renaud to the board. And once he's on board, he can then add us a Fire Warrior or an equip card from our graveyard back to our hand. And the only thing we really truly want to add in this combo line is going to be our copy of Boost Ward. We have no need to add these equip cards back to our hand. So we're going to add Boost Ward back to our hand, and you'll see just why. Now we're going to take our Doom Dragon and Renaud. We're going to synchro summon these cards away for a copy of Emperor Charles, the synchro version. Now that he's on board, we need to find a way to get him equipped, but we've already used the effect of Turpin and Grave, so we can't use him again. So we need to get this Captain Roland to the grave, and the only way we can is to take him and Dempsey for a link summon, and we're going to link summon him for them for IP. Now that we have Captain Roland engraved, we use the effect of Captain Roland to equip himself to our Emperor Charles, and then we're going to link summon Emperor Charles for Emperor Charles the Great. Activate his effect, equip himself with Infer-Noble Knight Emperor Charles from the grave. And now that we have an established quick card on the field, we then can go back to our graveyard, use the effect of Turpin to special summon himself from the grave because we control a monster with an equip card. Special summon out our Turpin, but he does leave the field once, he does get banished once he leaves the field. So we're going to take IP and Turpin. Remember, he gets banished. Link summon him for a copy of Promethean Princess. Now that we have Promethean Princess on field, she's going to activate her effect to special summon a Fire Warrior from our graveyard. Now we have many choices in here, but it's only one correct choice because our Doom Dragon and our first Captain Roland was not special summoned correctly, so we can't go after those guys. So the only legit choice would be to special summon our copy of Zoroa back to the field. Now that we have Zoroa on field, we then can revisit the Boost Warrior that we added from the effect of Renaud, and we can special summon Boost Warrior once again because we control a tuner on field. And we can take Boost Warrior and Zoroa and synchro summon for our second copy of Captain Roland. Activate Captain Roland's effect on summon to resolve on the end phase, and at the end phase, Captain Roland is going to drop an equip card to the grave and add us a Fire Warrior to our hand, which is very, very great. So now that we have Captain Roland on the field along with Promethean Princess, we're going to link summon these two away for a copy of Amblowhale. Now that we have Amblowhale established, we're pretty much done and we can move towards the end phase. So in the end phase, we're going to return back our Angelica from the Banish area, but we're also going to resolve the effect of our second Captain Roland that we synchro summoned. And he's going to allow us to drop an equip card to the grave. In this case, it's going to be Angelica's Ring, and we're going to add a Fire Warrior to our hand for follow-up. And it's going to be Immortal Phoenix Gear, which is going to be very, very good for follow-up. Now, the last person that we want to activate is going to be Emperor Charles the Great, which says he can equip himself with an equip card from the grave or from our hand. And we're going to use the effect to equip him with the Angelic Ring from the graveyard. And once we do, we can equip him with a Fire Warrior from our deck. And the Fire Warrior we're going to choose to equip him with is going to be Ogier. Once he is equipped with Ogier, he can then trigger his effect to destroy a card on the field, and his effect is going to destroy our copy of Amblowhale. Now, once Amblowhale is destroyed, it allows him to special summon a rank 2 or lower to the field. So we're going to go back to our graveyard, and we're going to special summon back our copy of IP. Now, this is our inboard that we're going to present to our opponent. And I'm going to do something different. I'm going to write down all the interaction key points down in the description below. But I just want to let you guys know you're looking at 9 points of interaction here. So let's go ahead and count them off. So first we have a monster negate with a card pop. That's 1, 2. We have a spell or trap negate. And anytime anything will become equipped, Emperor Charles can destroy a card on the field. So that's 3, 4. We also have the interaction of IP using her effect along with a monster on field. We can take our, in this case, Angelica, and use her as link summon materials for our copy of SP Little Knight. And that's going to be 5, 6 interruptions. And don't forget, guys, we have the Angelic ring here, which is going to be our 7th interaction. Also, we have Promethean Princess here. Promethean Princess will be typically targeting our Emperor Charles the Great here with the destruction effect anytime our opponent would special summon. But Emperor Charles will not be destroyed because it's equipped with Ogier here. So we're able to target our Charles and target a monster our opponent controls to special summon back our Promethean Princess, but our Charles will not be destroyed, which is great. Also, don't forget, guys, we have our Amblowhale here engraved. So anytime one of our link monsters will be destroyed by card effect or battle, he can banish himself from the grave to non-target destroy a card on the field, which is very, very good. And also, you know, this is the way quick effect during the main phase, Captain Roland would equip himself to any warrior on the field. So it could be Little Knight, boosting Little Knight up to 2100 attack points, which is pretty cool. So that does it for all the interactions that this board produces. Let's move on to another 1-card combo, guys, utilizing Zoroa. All right, welcome back. And in this combo line, we're going to be utilizing just Zoroa as our 1-card starter. So let's get into it. So we're going to normal summon our copy of Zoroa, activate his effect to equip himself with Artemis from the extra deck. Once Artemis is equipped, we're going to activate Artemis effect to add us a copy of Spencer from our deck to our hand. Then we're going to discard Spencer to the grave to add a copy of Crowley. Now we want to make sure we get this version of Crowley because this version of Crowley is just going to be a body to use off the effect of Zoroa, because the monster that's going to be special summoned from the effect of Zoroa will have his effect negated. Of course, if you guys open with this version of Crowley, you can get any other magic monster, even Rilliona, but you will not get any value because the effect will be negated. So if that's going to be the case, I'd rather go ahead and get this particular monster out of my deck so I can potentially draw Rilliona on turn 3 and not this card. So once we add this version of Crowley to our hand, we're going to activate the effect of Spencer, banishing himself from the grave to equip our Zoroa with a magic monster from our extra deck. And we're going to equip him with another copy of Artemis. Once Zoroa becomes equipped, we then can special summon our copy of Crowley here in defense position with its effect negated. And then we can fusion summon using these 2 copies of Artemis for our Chozo. Now that we have Chozo on the field, we then can XYZ summon our Crowley and Zoroa for a copy of Dempsey. Activate Dempsey's effect here to search for a copy of Boost Warrior, and we don't need to use the other effect of Dempsey to detach because we won't have another Massive monster on the field for much longer to utilize the graveyard effect of this particular Crowley. So now that we have Boost Warrior in our hand, since we control a tuner, we can special summon out our Boost Warrior, and then we can synchro summon him and Chozo for a copy of Angelica. Once Angelica hits the field, she can add us a copy of Museum. We're going to place our Museum on the field, activate his effect, paying 1200 life points, adding us a copy of Durandal. And we want to make sure we add Durandal right here. So we're going to activate Durandal, equipping it to Dempsey. And as you guys can tell, we don't have Spencer in the grave to help trigger Angelica, but we're going to fix that problem right now. So we're going to activate Durandal, use his effect to add us a copy of Renaud from our deck to our hand. Once we have Renaud, we can now special summon Renaud and use the Renaud's effect to add back a Fire Warrior or an equipped card. In this case, in this combo line, we're going to add back Durandal because we need a way to trigger our Angelica. Now that we have Durandal back in our hand, we can activate the Durandal, targeting our Angelica, chain the effect of Angelica, banishing herself, return her at the end phase, this falls to the grave to drop a fire warrior to the grave and special summon out Captain Roland from our extra deck. Now, in this line, we want to make sure we utilize Ogier being sent to the graveyard for the effect of Angelica, and you'll see just why. So activate the effect of Ogier, equipping to our Captain Roland or Dempsey, it doesn't matter. Then we're going to use the effect of Museum to special summon up an Infer-Noble to our monster zone, but we're then locked into warriors for the rest of the turn, which is fine. Also, we went through our last combo sequence without using Museum's effect once, well, the special summon effect once, so that was pretty cool. Once the Ogier is on the field, it activates his effect to drop a fire warrior to the grave, and the fire warrior we're going to drop to the grave is going to be Turpin. Now that we have Turpin in grave, we're going to synchro summon using Captain Roland and Ogier for our Infer-Noble Knight Charles. Now that Charles is on the field, we can use the effect of Turpin, not Roland, and that's for good reason. When we use the effect of Turpin to equip to Emperor Charles, making him a tuner, but that doesn't matter because all we want to do is link summon our Emperor Charles away for our Emperor Charles the Great. Activate his effect, equipping Infer-Noble Knight Emperor Charles from the grave to him. Now that we have an equipped card on field, we can then special summon our Turpin from the grave. Now that we have a level 1 that's considered to be a tuner and a level 4 monster, we can now synchro summon. Make sure we banish the Turpin for our second copy of Captain Roland. Now that Captain Roland's on the field, his effect is going to activate, allowing us to, at the end phase, send an equipped card to the graveyard and add a fire warrior to our hand, which is going to be pivotal to our end board because we will not end on as much as we did with the Rilliona line. Now that we're warrior locked, we have to find a way to make some kind of interruption for our opponent, and the only way I've been able to find was to link summon these two away for our copy of SP Little Knight. Now, the reason I told you guys not to use the effect of Captain Roland in your graveyard because I wanted to use that effect for Little Knight. And we all know the best way to beat Little Knight without triggering it is to attack over it. But we're gonna make that damn near impossible for our opponent. So we're gonna activate the effect of Captain Roland since we have not used it yet and equip it to our Little Knight, bringing Little Knight's attack to 2100. Now, I think we're just about done. Yeah, we're done. So we can move towards the end phase. Don't forget, at the end phase, Angelica returns to the field. And also, the version of Captain Roland we actually did synchro summon is gonna activate. So his effect is gonna activate, dropping an equipped card to the grave, which is gonna be Angelica's Angelic Ring. And it's gonna add us Immortal Phoenix Gear Free to our hand for follow-up for turn 3. Now we can activate the effect of Emperor Charles the Great, equipping himself with Angelica's Ring from the graveyard and also equipping himself with a Fire Warrior from the deck. Cool. So this does it for this particular combo, and this is what we are going to present to our opponent. So what do we have here? We have a total of 4 interactions. We have a Spell or Trap Negate plus a pop whenever a monster becomes equipped on the field. We also have a Spell Negate, a Spell Effect Negate, I'm sorry. So this protects us from cards like Forbidden Droplets, Super Pollinization, and cards like that. Also, we have a monster removal with the effect of SP Little Knight. And SP Little Knight is currently at 2100, but we also on our opponent's main phase can activate the effect of Captain Roland to equip to Little Knight, bringing her attack up to 2600 attack points. And don't forget, we also have Immortal Phoenix Gear Free here for follow-up. So that does it for combo line number 2. Now I'm gonna show you a combo line utilizing just 2 cards, Gear Freed and Spenta. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right guys, here we are at combo line number 3, which is gonna be the final combo for this video. I appreciate you guys sticking with me for this long. If you made it this far, I really do appreciate it. The way I came up onto this combo line, I was at locals and I was in a game 3 situation where I knew what my opponent was actually playing. So I wanted to tailor my board to the actual matchup. Although I chose to forgo any Infer-Noble interaction in this particular combo line, it actually ended up working out in my favor. So I want to show you exactly how I put this together. So we start off with Spencer and Gearfried here. So we're gonna activate the effect of Spencer, discarding him to the graveyard to add a copy of Rilliona. We're gonna normal summon our Rilliona, activate her effect to grab Verethragna, very similar to the first combo. And we're gonna activate Verethragna, sending a copy of Jenny to the graveyard. Now that Jenny is in the grave, we can link summon off our Rilliona for our first copy of Artemis. Now that Artemis is on the field, we can activate Jenny's effect, banishing her and Verethragna to special summon a Magic monster from our deck. And the monster we're gonna special summon is gonna be Zoroa. Zoroa is gonna activate his effect to equip himself with Artemis, and once he equips himself, we're gonna go ahead and special summon out our Rilliona from the grave via the effect of Zoroa. Now that Zoroa's on the field, we can activate the effect of Artemis. Artemis is going to add us a copy of Crowley. Crowley's gonna activate his effect to special summon to the field, and he's then going to fusion summon using the Artemis in the extra monster zone for a copy of Zoroa. Now that Zoroa's on the field, his effect is going to activate. He's going to re-equip the Crowley from the graveyard. And now we can special summon out our Gearfried, giving up the Artemis that's equipped it to Zoroa to special summon out Gearfried. Once Gearfried is on the field, we then can synchro summon using Zoroa and Rilliona for a copy of Zoroa the Calamity. Now that Calamity is on field, he can activate his effect to equip himself with a extra deck monster, Magistus extra deck monster. So we're gonna equip him with a copy of Chozo. Now that we have no more Magistus monster in our extra deck, we're then gonna have to turn to our graveyard to figure out how else we can equip Calamity here with a link monster to help combat against the yummy matchup. So we're gonna go with Rilliona. Rilliona effect is gonna activate her effect in grave to banish herself to equip our Calamity with a copy of Artemis. Now we have Spencer in the grave, but I suggest keeping Spencer in the grave for follow-up. That way you can have a way to make some extra plays on your third turn, and there's no reason to equip anything from the graveyard to any of these guys on field, because Immortal Phoenix Gearfried can get rid of any equip card that I choose for a negation, as well as Zoroa can tribute himself off the field for his own effect negation. So I have no reason to put another equip card on the field at this moment, and we want to make sure we keep Chozo and Artemis equipped to Calamity here. So we're gonna keep Spencer in the grave. So what is my opponent currently looking at? Currently they're looking at 2 monster negates, but 1 monster negate is also a card on the field as well. And into that yummy Azamina matchup, they cannot activate the effects of link monsters and fusion monsters. So this was a really good field to put up against my opponent. They ended up losing to it. And I also want to just make a comment for those of you that may not believe in the card Angelica's Ring in the main board. This is one of the scenarios where if you draw the worst equipped card in our deck, that is still able to be used, because we have a monster that's on the field that's already, we actually have 2 monsters on the field that's already equipped it. That way we can actually just go ahead and play Angelic Ring, which is going to be even more formidable if our opponent opens up any card, any board breaker cards like Droplet or Super Poly, and we're able to stop those cards. But this does it for my combo video. I really do appreciate you guys sticking around to the end of the video. I actually gotta go to locals in just a moment, so I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. This has been your boy Lord Solar Prime, and I'm out, guys. Peace.